these text messages. Basically, you were led to believe that there was an entire 5-hour questioning covering the material here and a claim of wrongdoing coming out of my main man, Mr. J. From the way that articles presented this, it appears that some of these headlines. You would think that on the stand, there was a long, emotional story behind what happened. The cause of this was his physicality. You would think that from the way that these text messages were printed up, shown, you were led to fill in the blanks. It wasn't just you, though. It wasn't just you. It was the 6 members of the jury as well. I want to take you to the courtroom when that news was announced, because the transcripts have been found. Now, it's on a GoFundMe where you can help pay for the person, Katrina, who paid for these to be revealed. Click on that link right there, and a Google document opens up. Let's go to Kat, who's been covering this on her channel, every live stream, reading the transcript of the testimony coming out of Stephanie. And now you're going to hear how it played out in court. So after these texts became known, right? This is where they took it right after.
So she starts to read. It says, "It's just fake, and I fear you have no perspective of what could happen if you go to the hospital. They will ask you questions, and as I don't think you actually protect us, it could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie and they suspect something." So the text message before this does not come in. The very first thing that the jury sees is, "It's just fake." "Ms. Jabari, are your text messages in blue or black?" "Mine are in blue." "What did you respond?" "I responded, I will tell the doctor I bumped my head." "Sorry." So she's starting to cry. "It's okay, and I could read it into the record if you need." So the judge says Galloway can read the rest of the messages. So Jabari's sitting there crying. Galloway takes over the reading.
And that's important for me to show and highlight because when you start crying, it leads the imagination to imply the events of this text message is so horrifying, it reminds me of pain. And that is what I mean when I'm saying fill in the blanks. No point in time did she even accuse him of having his hands on her on that September. Keep reading, Kat. Keep reading. Thank you, Kat, for this. Appreciate you. Up top. She went like this. Meow.
The message as indicated in blue states, "I will tell the doctor I bumped my head if I go. I'm going to give it one more day, but I can't sleep and I need some stronger painkillers. That's all." Why would I want to tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you? Now, if we put that into the context of what Jonathan Majors, albeit not under oath, said in his Good Morning America interview, they had just reconciled after their multi-day fight. They're hanging out. They spend the night together. They're sleeping in the same bed. They wake up and he has these text messages sitting on his phone. And he's just like, and it was right after he expressed that he knew he should have ended this earlier on. He should have ended this relationship, but he didn't. So this part, why would I want to tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you? That seems to me, hey, we've been fighting for 3-4 days over this, and I've been dealing with it however I've been dealing with it. And maybe I don't want to tell the hospital that I've been crying for 3 days straight because I can't get over a possible breakup with my boyfriend. And I cried until he agreed to let me come back into his house and get back together with me. Because if I tell someone that, they're going to tell me, hey, maybe you need some mental health, like therapy, or you need to speak to somebody and get some help for this. So that's all this could mean. The text messages in black state, "I feel like you want to be together, as in not to embarrass yourself for everything you've said to your friends and family. Last night, I considered killing myself versus coming home. You said you needed love last night, and I put my feelings aside and tried to give you that. I need love too, or maybe I'm such a monster and horrible man that I don't deserve it and should just kill myself. This way of existence is miserable. I want to die." Your response in blue, "I will not go to the doctor if you don't feel safe with me doing so or don't trust me to. I promise I would never mention you, but I understand your fear." The text message in black say, "You can't reject love if there's no real love. It's just lip service. I gave you love last night and this morning before I got out of bed. When you got up, you were not full of love at all. I didn't feel it at all. So I didn't feel it at all. He calls it fake. It's just lip service. You could have just given me a hug or walked close to me or asked me if you could give me a hug, not the other way around. It works both ways. I will probably," that's supposed to be Mill, it says maybe kill myself. It's not really contemplating anymore. I'm a monster, a horrible man. I'm not capable of love. I'm killing myself soon. I've already put things in motion. Your response in blue says, Jonathan, you can't say this. I'm going to have to call someone. I'm sorry for not hugging you this morning. I really am. I was sleepy and disoriented by the fact that you thought I would break your necklace. I love you so much, obviously. What do you mean by you put this in motion? And then the judge says, all right, before we continue, I'm just going to give you 2 instructions concerning these text messages. The first one is that you could see in the text messages, there's certain parts of the text that are redacted out, and that's because there's sometimes, when the court has to rule, that some of the writings in a text message are not relevant to anything that you have to consider here in court. And therefore, I rule that whatever is blacked out is not admissible in court because it's not relevant.
Would assault be relevant in this assault case?
So, you could only consider that it is actually in the what is actually in the text messages, and don't speculate as to what it is that I took out of those text messages. Also, again, I will give you the instruction that I gave you the other day. You just did hear about an incident between the parties that happened in September of 2022. And that evidence was not offered.
Pause. I just heard an incident. Is it? I mean, you're characterizing the thing as, where am I? As an incident. And that's my issue. Now, maybe dictionary definition is the word incident actually means what that was. That was an event. But colloquially, the way that we use it commonly, an incident means that something happened. Oh, the judge, even with his language, is insinuating that there was a elbow drop, what is the move? The phenomenal forearm from the top rope. You guys know what this one here. Insinuating that happened because it was an incident.
And must not be considered for the purpose of proving that the defendant had a propensity or predisposition to commit the crime charged in this case. It was only offered for your consideration as background information. And if you find the evidence is believable, you may consider it for that limited purpose and for no other.
Prior, every time there was an event happening like from the past, the judge would stop and be like, oh, check it out here. Let me slide in right now because at this point in time, we're done talking about that day, okay? That day, that incident, that whole speech he just gave just right now that Kat was reading, he's given that every single time on the first day. These text messages were introduced on the last day because it opened the door. They're saying that part of the questioning that the defense was asking allowed for these questions to be submitted, okay? I believe that the day before this, the night prior, I believe that the judge and the attorney working for the district had a conversation and said, this is how we're going to lay it out. Hey, maybe even members of media also had a play in it. But that's not, maybe they didn't also. But those articles came in really fast. But anyways, they said, hey, I'm going to allow for these texts to be admitted, okay? These are the questions you're going to ask. Okay, cool. And you know why I think this? Because the judge, before she got started on March 25th, before Kelly Galloway, who's asking the questions on behalf of the district, got started, the judge knew that she was finished with the September stuff. Every other time he had to wait. There's times where he was like, oh, wait, are you done asking? Are you done for today? Okay, cool. Now let me give the speech. By the way, guys, this was not submitted as evidence. This is just background information. He did that prior. Go to the first day. I'll read it. On this day, she was speaking on how she mentioned her ex and the trouble that Jonathan provided. The court, he says, all right, is that the end of that incident? Yes. And then the judge gave his spiel. Hey, that was in December of 2021. Yada, yada, yada. This is how you're supposed to consider it. Okay, directing your attention to June 2022. But he had to ask, okay? So she now talks about the time of her going to the festival, and towards the ending of this conversation, the question, which would mean her attorneys, is like, now directing your attention to July of 2022. And judge stops and says, okay, all right, before you go there, I'll be doing this after each one of these. I just want to let you guys know, you just heard the testimony about the incident, June 2022. So you see how he didn't know that it was over, right? It's only after Kelly Galloway, the attorney, was like, okay, next question is going to be able to, he stops and he says, okay, wait, hold on. Got to do this. And he gives the whole spiel. You guys see it all. And then he says, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Galloway. All right, cool. Miss Galloway, shout out to you. And shout out to the judge, Michael Gaffey. Because when we just look back into the past, we can tell how fishy you guys have been. He'll do it again. So let me scroll up. She's questioning about this. Yeah. Did you change your behavior after the incident? Yeah, I think it was the temper, yada, yada, yada. And then, Your Honor, the instruction. And then Your Honor says, okay, this is where I chime in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard the testimony about the incident from Jabari on Majors that occurred in July of 2022. This guy keeps getting instructed or keeps chiming in. After the defendant yelled at you, did you get a chance to see the state of the bedroom? He had put back everything. Did you continue your relationship? Yes. Why is that? I loved him. And Your Honor, limiting instruction. Is that the end of September? End of September 19th. Okay, we'll deal with that. All right, guys, you just heard about an incident from September 19th between Jabari Majors. And he gives the whole spiel after asking if it was over because he didn't know. Now, here's the question. Directing your attention to September 22, did the defendant become upset with you at this point? Your Honor, this is Jonathan's lawyer. Could you please read the limiting instruction? I think we were moving on. And then the judge, the court, he's like, is this different? Yes. And then I don't think he was asking you, Chowdhury. He was asking the prosecutors. And the prosecutor says, yes. It's just the days apart. We could read the limiting instruction. Okay, so with the testimony you just heard about the incident, was not offended, you guys keep seeing the instructions offered. So just to repeat what Kat told us, this is Kelly Galloway reading the text. I love you so much, obviously. What do you mean you put this in motion? This is when the judge says, because he just knew that after reading these text messages, there was no follow-up questions to her. Even though there have been questions and interruptions here, hey, it's okay, I could read it in record. This judge knew with absolute certainty, here's where I can stop in because I know you're about to change the date during this entire questioning. You're jumping over to March, aren't you? So he reads that entire spiel that he's got, and then he says, go ahead. And Galloway's like, got it. Tag. Okay, well, when you met with the medical professionals on March 25. See? Why did he know? Why? I know why. To fill in blanks. To allow you to not think about how, wait, wouldn't now be a perfect time now to ask what were those texts about? Or was it because there was a prior aggravated harassment? Because at this point, they're still trying to get him on that one. Intentional assault. At this point in time, that's when you start asking. But no, that didn't happen during this questioning. I believe that these text messages could be about some substance that are blacked out. Or partaking in something embarrassing. Maybe toys are involved. And when I say toys, I'm not talking about toys. I'm talking about toys were involved. That needed to be blacked out. Had nothing to do with the relevance. Probably something that both parties didn't want to get out there. Because it's not like any of them wanted to explain this. Ever. Like, even in the interview on ABC, I didn't hear Jonathan explain what was going on. Probably makes both people look bad. But you were led to believe and hope that what looked bad on his part was what he was being charged for. Nah, bro. Toys, honestly. Some of that white stuff also could have, this is Hollywood. I don't know. I'm going to throw out those guesses. But one thing that I've ruled out was some of that, and then just went Power Rangers, Psycho Rangers on her. I don't think that happened. I don't think he went season 5 Power Rangers in space. There was no blue spray paint. Okay, what were those texts about? What was the need for you to go visit the hospital? Nope. We'll leave that open-ended because it allows for the jury to assume that it was the result of exactly what he's being charged for today. You saw text messages. The people who give you information wanted you to believe that the text messages mean that. But she never claimed that. She, like Stephanie, this woman, didn't ever say happened to her. But if you just read the texts, I hope that clicks with somebody. Some of you are not going to realize that. I just went to the courtroom. I just showed you how things were played out. Let's keep reading, though. Kat, thank you very much. Keep reading this for me, please. Thank you, Kat. Meow.
If you find the evidence is believable, you may consider it for that limited purpose and for no other. So now, look at this very next question. After we get done reading the text messages, this is the very next question. Ms. Jabari, when you met with medical professionals on March 25th, did you know how you sustained your injuries? Yes. And in the car, you had mentioned that you weren't looking at the defendant when he had caused some of the injuries. Correct. Was anyone else in the car? Jonathan and the driver. And what row was the driver in? He was directly in front of me. Did you know who caused your injuries on March 25th, 2023 when police arrived? I did. Yes. Why did you say that you didn't know? I was, just scared of the consequences of it, what I would say, how that would affect him. What do you mean by that? Still wanted to protect him, I guess. Scared. Do you know sitting here today who caused your injuries on March 25th, 2023? Objection, asked and answered. Yes, overruled.
Asked
yes,
and
I do.
answered.
Who is that? The defendant, Jonathan. Nothing further.
Asked and answered. Well, it was asked and was answered. But that wasn't objected to. Because, hey, shut up over there, defense attorneys. You're ruining this. We planned this. Go ahead. Keep going. Jonathan. You see how, they went straight from these old texts to this. As if to tell the jury, now imagine that what I'm claiming happened on March 25th, just imagine that it also has to do with the exact same events happening on September. She never said that it did, okay? And if this is court, this is the place to do it, and she never said that it did then, the absence of evidence is my evidence that it didn't happen. To believe that it happened, you would have to believe that instead of incriminating or testifying to help her case, she chose not to. That's what you believe, if those texts appear to look bad. Because in court, it was never expounded on and added that it was Jonathan being physical. So you believe that, person. That's you right there.
And then Chaudhry says they have nothing further for a recross. Thank you very much. You're done. We thank you very much. You're excused as a witness. So that's it with Jabari's testimony. And like Danny said, this probably, took maybe 15 minutes on that Friday morning. Let's see what you guys think about this.
Thank you, Kat. And if we go on her channel, we can see there's part 8, part 7, part 3, 4, all the way to part 1. Live streams that she's been doing over the last couple of weeks. Check them all out if you want to have someone read it to you. Or there's also the link down in the description, which she spent money on. And shout out to you guys for supporting her. But she spent money on to try to get this evidence out for you. The transcripts have been released. You no longer need to pretend that an act happened that she never claimed happened. It's just text messages once you redact everything, have no context towards, and don't hear Jonathan testify. It's just text that you gotta believe happened. Text that make you have to believe that events happened. What isn't happening is on the September 22nd, I was put in the camel clutch. After that, an attitude adjustment was performed on me, a maneuver which has cracked my back, Carlito style. But then came the bank statement. It was unbearable. This is court. This is where you get into the muddy, and you say exactly what it was. You're trying to prove some charges against him. Well, 2 of them stuck. You would use the same language defined in those charges about the September incident, but that's never said. Not once. The only time anything physical with him is alleged is March 25th of 2023. The text surrounding the September incident. And the person who was supposed to tell us about it refers to it as an incident. You were led to believe things. You were told, or you were shown texts, just like the whole jury was shown. The whole courtroom was shown these texts, redacted. And you said, that means that That means that he did it in March, he did it in September. It's never claimed in the place where they would claim it. At the time to claim it. Nothing. You have access to this. It's in my description box here. You can read the transcripts yourself. I feel like I've been saying that 7-8 times during the vid, but it's kind of the point of the video. Recast T'Challa's stream coming on Thursday. That child is not T'Challa. That is not a recast. That's a brand new character. His dad would be a recast.